Okay, back on the Tricast wand, or wands actually, that I rebuilt the handle on. Haven't done an update on this for a little while, simply because I needed to get on and order some of this cork sealant for the handle, and I just was waiting on some other things to come along and I just didn't get to it, and now I do. So I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment with this stuff. This is the first time that I've used it. I've sort of read about it online, watched a few YouTube videos and so forth. So what I thought I'd do is I thought I would actually run an experiment and see what the finish is like. Now, when I was making these videos, this series, I sort of intimated and even mentioned, I think, that I've actually got two of these rods. And although they were sold as the same rod, I bought them at different times, and they are different. And I'll talk a bit about that a bit later on through the probably as the wrap up of this series. But two rods, two upgraded handles. The handles are different, as you can see. One's slightly longer, one's got a cap on it, and so I'm going to do one and not the other, and just record what the differences are, see what, like, from a visual perspective, and then afterwards I will do them both. These kind of rods, what they're used for, that you're going to be handling them with mucky hands, and so if I can stop that grime and dirt from going into the handle, I think that's a good thing. So I've got the two. I'm going to do the one with the black tip, and the one without the black tip I am not going to seal. Yeah, so that'll be the experiment to see what they compare like. So both of the rods, I've done some repairs on the handles where I put in a mixture of EVA glue and PVA glue and cork dust to fill gaps and holes in them. This is the one where, when I showed earlier, there was a little hole in there. You can see where I filled that. You still see a little bit of a trace of the glue there. I was just a little bit reluctant to keep on sanding to get it all off, because I know this was thin anyhow, and I just didn't want to make it any thinner. I think it's pretty strong now with because it's obviously inside the plastic. So let's just seal them up, see what they go like. So this sealant, 2 fluid ounces, so a touch under 60 millilitres. I've seen where people have applied it using brushes. I've seen where people have applied it using an old toothbrush. I was originally thinking I would just put it on actually with a rag, kind of a wipe on, wipe off sort of thing, but decided not to. I'm just going to use an old, this is a really cheap ass half-inch brush with the nylon, the really soft nylon brushes, not soft enough to where I'd want to use them for paint and gloss, but they're okay for crappy jobs like this. So as you can see, I've just unpacked it for the first time. I can't really tip it, but it's kind of a tinted white. It looks very watery from what I've seen on some of the videos. It is very watery. Everything that I've read and the instructions on the back say just put one coat on. It will coat and soak into the cork, but it reaches a point where it will not absorb anymore. So there's no point in putting too much on. And also what I've seen online is one coat. If you put a second coat on, it won't add, and in fact it will damage the first coat. So yeah, let's just see how things go with just the one coat. So I mean, as I'm brushing it on, it actually just looks like I'm brushing on water, right? I mean, hopefully some of this is being caught. I masked up the real fit seat. I just didn't want to get any marks on it. I just figured I'd keep it nice as long as possible, but I am trying to get some of this stuff on the edge just to sort of seal it up. Right, so It is a bit darker as it starts to dry. The instructions say that it can be handled after 30 minutes and it's fully cured after 24 hours. So I'm going to do just this one. I will leave it for close on 24 hours before I compare the two, right? The one with the coating and the one without the coating. The instructions also were very, on the back of the pot, are also very clear that it says don't put so much on where you get sags or anything in it. So we won't do that. Some bubbles and stuff in there, right? Too. This is obviously the. I hope you can see this. I'm not sure anyway. This is the new bit, obviously. So this was the original cork. This is the new cork, including that repair. So at the top, the cork is rubberized. I am painting it on that as well. I'm not too fussed, I guess, because it's rubberized, about getting on the very end. Touch. So it's interesting that this cork, which is the newer cork that I got as part of the real fitting kit, doesn't seem to be sort of absorbing it as much. I'm sort of wondering if maybe it was already sealed, I don't know. I mean, it's also, this is old, it was dry, you know, wood, even cork probably should be conditioned over a period of time. I've never heard of cork conditioner, but I know from, you know, wooden furniture and so forth, it needs to be nourished. Right, that is, sorry, just one other thing I suppose, which piece of information which I couldn't find online is this stuff is water soluble, so you can clean the brushes up in what it says on the pot, which I couldn't find out online. Is it can be cleaned up in running water, so it's not like the brushes are going to be a one-time use and then you've either got to use them on thinners or you've got to chuck them away. Right, that's it. One rod. I'm going to put it down there and I'm going to leave it for 24 hours. Okay, so here we are. We're about 18, maybe 20 hours on from when I put the cork seal, the U40 cork seal onto the rod. This is it. So this is the one with the plastic tip and the slightly shorter handle. It's dry. If I was to say anything critical, I would say that where I filled this with a mixture of the PVA glue and cork dust, maybe the filling shows up as a little bit shiny. I don't know whether or not that's a real problem, but it might also just be, there are a couple of places I can see here. Maybe I could have sanded that more. I didn't see it to sand it previously. And then if I compare it with the uncoated one, so we see them sort of side by side. So remember, this one is the coated one. This has been coated, this has not been coated. It feels very slightly different. This one just feels, the only way I could describe this actually is it feels raw, and this one does feel like it's got something on it. I don't think in a bad way. This, if we remember, these rods are, one is older than the other, and that's why it's a bit different. Slightly darker colour, but not much at all. So I think that's good. I think, you know, that's a wrap. So reasonably pleased with that. So yeah, I'm gonna do the other one, let it dry, and then I'm gonna do a quick summary of the project and I guess show both rods and show the whole complete rods as well.